have Professor Rajnish Mishra, a professor from JNU, as the chair of this session. With his knowledge and experience, this session will be surely insightful and engaging. Now, I invite Professor Rajnish to take over and lead this session. Over to you, sir. Sir, you are not audible.
Thank you, Sakshi, and warm welcome to all the presenters, scholars who have joined us. Uh, Let me begin with a kind of auspicious verse with a, that we do in the beginning of every academic work or anything important. This is the verse from the very famous play of Kalidas, Avigyana Shakuntalam, the beginning. This is technically it is called Nandi Part. So I just begin with that, and then uh, we'll invite our learned speakers on this platform. This is या सृष्टिः स्रष्टुराद्या वहति विधिहुतं या हविर्या च होत्री ये द्वे कालं विधत्तः श्रुति विषय गुणा या स्थिता व्याप्य विश्वं यामाहुः सर्वबीज प्रकृतिरिति यया प्राणिनः प्राणवन्तः प्रत्यक्षाभिः प्रपन्नस्तनुभिर्वतु वस्ताभिरष्टाभिरीशः. Om. In this verse, the great poet, playwright Kalidas invokes the 8 visible forms of Lord Shiva and praying him to bless us all. So this is how the play begins. Anyways, so the title of this very, very important academic event is Reimagining and Reclaiming the Knowledge Tradition of Bharat Beyond Boundaries and Definitions. This is again very important and epoch-making academic event. The term, the name of the country Bharat itself suggests that India has been a knowledge-centered civilization. Bha literally means light, knowledge. It represents knowledge, and Rath, that the culture or community which has always been engaged in the quest of the knowledge, or in the and the knowledge of what? Knowledge of the self. So it's a perennial quest of the self that defines, characterizes this knowledge tradition in our country. And I'm happy that very learned scholars are here with their wonderful topics, and will definitely be benefited from their research and the kind of contribution, academic contribution they have made to enrich this knowledge tradition. We are grateful to all of you who have joined, and we welcome you uh, from the core of our heart. So, with this brief uh, introduction, let me invite our first presenter, and very important, as I can see the profile. She is a wonderful scholar, Professor Patricia Dold. She is from Newfoundland, Canada. She is the associate professor in Department of Religion and Culture at Memorial University at St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. She also serves as associate dean, curriculum and programming in Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in Memorial. She has a very long and illustrious, teaching career of 40 years. Wonderful. Uh, and she has worked on Hindu texts and traditions, South Asian religions and history. So wonderful, and we welcome you. Uh, the title of the today's presentation is Epistemology and Methodology, a Shakta Puranic narrative theology. She is she has done her PhD on Srimad Bhagavad Purana, that is Shakta Purana, and she has explored these various textual issues in her paper. So may I request you to present your paper, Patricia ji. Most
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you to all of the organizers and everyone who's helping here. I'm just going to share my screen. I have not a very long PowerPoint presentation, but a few images that I think will be helpful as we go. So I want to begin actually with a land acknowledgement. I acknowledge that the lands on which Memorial University's campuses are situated are in the traditional territories of diverse indigenous groups, and I acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures then of the Beothuk, the Mi'kmaq, the Innu, and Inuit of this province. And one of the things that we try to achieve through these land acknowledgements is to remind ourselves as settlers in this place that we must respectfully engage with the various communities that are here, many of them who have been here much longer. And part of that process, of course, is listening respectfully, sorry. I have been thinking these past few days, perhaps more than normal, about the importance of respectful listening. And it is something that I really hope is at the core of my work on South Asian traditions and texts as well. As scholars, we know, this is a little bit premature here, this slide, but nevertheless, as scholars, it seems to me we know very well that such listening requires awareness of our positionality. That is, where we as individuals sit as we learn, research, speak, and write. One way for me to understand and work through my positionality, which is shaped in part by my identity as a white, feminist, cisgendered Canadian woman of German ancestry, raised in a relatively exclusionary Roman Catholic tradition. One of the things that I know I need to do is to constantly question the questions that I bring to my work. Where do those questions come from? Do they come from my own background, or do they emerge out of the data that I am studying? Knowing what I ask, why I ask, shapes, contorts, distorts, etc., my methods, my data, not to mention my conclusions, or it can. Hopefully, I take steps to avoid negative repercussions. Respectful listening can then realign my work so that understanding, appreciation, and perhaps some skill and wisdom grow. I came to something like this respectful listening decades ago as I began my work on my PhD dissertation on a Shakta Purana called the Mahabhagavata Purana. And many of you will, of course, recognize that even with its title, this Shakta text is trying to mimic the Vaishnava Bhagavata Purana. And in doing so, it is echoing actually the efforts of another Shakta Purana, the Devi Bhagavata Purana, to do something very similar. As important as the relationship is between these various Bhagavatas, I want to focus here on another aspect of the Shakta Mahabhagavata's understanding of itself. And this is something that comes from an account that the text offers of its own appearance, I will say, in the world. The narrative account of this appearance culminates in a multifaceted image of the goddess in her heavenly abode as she shows to the sage Vyasa, the Mahabhagavata Purana, as the syllable Om on the 1,000 petals of a lotus on the bottom of her foot. Picture that, if you will. I will return to this image in a moment, but I want to first offer just a few general points about the Shakta Mahabhagavata Purana. And I apologize that I couldn't do diacriticals on the PowerPoint. In any case, I just want to mention that the provenance of this text is thought to be Northeast India, in large part because of the attention that the text gives to the Kamakya temple site. It is likely that the text, was written somewhere around the 13th, 14th century, at least those materials in it pertaining to the Mahavidyas. It knows this group of goddesses as a fairly stable group, and that tends to place it with a relatively late date. The Mahabhagavata's contents are almost entirely narrative, beginning with an account of creation, including its own creation. The text offers accounts of Sati, Ganga, Parvati, Rama, Krishna, Indra and Vitra, and once again, Ganga. So narrative form dominates this text, and its narratives, by and large, show what bhakti, or devotion to the goddess, is, how it feels, and how it benefits. As well as their emphasis on affect, these narrative accounts are highly visual, and certain of the iconic images generated by the Mahabhagavata's narrative accounts continue to be visible at the Kamakya site. Here we have Sati and Shiva surrounded by the Mahavidyas. This is one such image. And another example, the goddess as Kali standing on the chest of a supine Shiva. These are both seen on lithographs all over at Kamakya, and portions of the Mahabhagavata's accounts are documented in oral traditions there, including Nam, hymns sung by women residents at the site. I emphasize the text use of narrative form, its emphasis on bhakti, and the visual character of these narratives, all within a method that follows A.K. Ramanujan's call mentioned in my abstract. That is, the value of carefully attending to a text's internal patterns and then understanding those in a context-sensitive way was conveyed decades ago by A.K. Ramanujan in a 1989 article called "Is There an Indian Way of Thinking? An Informal Essay." Turns out there are many Indian ways of thinking, many of them quite formal. The essay raises many of the issues that inform or should inform our work in general and that are themes for the present conference, including the destructive assumptions of Western colonial scholars and institutions that either denied rationality entirely to peoples deemed other or assigned it to a lost golden age that the West would somehow restore or replace. Ramanujan would certainly and rightly object to any sort of academic idolatry toward texts from centuries past, but he does want such texts to receive scholarly attention. And he asks for something like respectful listening. He says, with some dismay, I think, scholars have often discussed Indian texts like the Mahabharata as if they were loose-leaf files, rag-bag encyclopedias, positing only an accidental and physical unity. Instead, he suggests, indeed he says, we should respect the integrity of these texts, attend to the context-sensitive designs that embed a seeming variety of modes, whether tale, discourse, poem, and so on, and also that embed various materials. This manner of constructing text is in consonance, he says, with other designs in the culture. Not unity in an Aristotelian sense, but coherence seems to be the end, he says. So, as I read this, we should look for designs in a text and then understand them in the immediate and broader contexts. Ramanujan proceeds to unpack his call through several examples, such as the use of multiple nested dialogues, the epistemic importance of texts' internal contexts, and more broadly, the use of concentric nesting. I really love that expression. It's his. He says of this concentric nesting, it is the idea that what is contained mirrors the container. The microcosm is both within and like the macrocosm, and paradoxically also contains it. I return now to the Om that is the Mahabhagavata Purana on the petals of the lotus on the goddess's foot as an example of concentric nesting. The meaning of this image within the text, I think Ramanuja would want us to see, is profoundly shaped and enriched by designs, patterns, and modes of the text itself, as well as by the text's historical, cultural, and religious contexts. Briefly put, the image shows that the text sees itself as inseparable from the essence of the goddess, and that essence is one that is at once abstract and transcendent and concrete and physical. It is an essence that is furthermore captured both through metaphysical assertions and narrative accounts about the goddess and her devotees. So how did Vyasa get there to see this image, and what does it mean to align the goddess and the text? The text opens, as so many texts do, with nested dialogues, and I see this in this instance as a way to really build the suspense. It's almost a multiplying effect. Whatever is being asked is asked repeatedly, and there's a long process involved in getting the answers, so it heightens the importance of the answer, probably the question too. In this case, the great Rishi Shaunaka and others ask the sutta to deliver that Purana that represents the highest glory of the goddess in detail. The sutta describes to the rishis Vyasa's dissatisfaction after he had composed the 18 Mahapuranas. None of them, he felt, we are told, captured the highest reality that is the goddess herself, but somewhat a matter of great concern for him was that he himself did not know her essence. He needed, therefore, to figure out a way to find or create that excellent Mahapurana in which the glory that is the highest reality of Bhagavati is described. Therefore, he undertakes tapas to the goddess devoutly. She manifests invisibly and directs Vyasa to go to Brahma's world where the Shrutis dwell. These are the Vedas, of course. There he will learn about the highest transcendent reality of the goddess. She will manifest before him and fulfill his desire. And he does. The Shrutis in Brahma's world sing the goddess's praises, and they offer a hymn of praise to her. In both, they affirm her as the source of their own authority. They assert the goddess's identity with the highest reality, param tattvam, in all beings, and from which all emerge, with the highest Brahman, the supreme Brahman, and so on. She encompasses all deities, we are told. Her form is Satchitananda. She is to be understood as Shakti, Prakriti, Maya, but also more. She is not other than, and indeed is the source or essence of Purusha, of Brahman, which we are told has Shakti as its nature. That is, the Shrutis present in the form of hymns a Shakta theology. This theology includes narrative accounts. So they say, after worshiping you, goddess, Hari, having killed unconquerable demons in battle, protects the triple world. Also Shambhu, after placing your feet on his chest, this is important, drank that Kala Kuta poison which was threatening to destroy the triple world. We may take note here that the Mahabhagavata gives accounts of Vishnu as Rama and Krishna destroying demons, and also through its account of creation and the Sati account, as well as the Parvati story, It explains how and why Shiva's bhakti for the goddess led him to always carry her feet on his heart wherever she appears. If we are intending to the text's internal patterns, as Ramanujan wants us to do, we can see that potentially the Shrutis include the text's narrative accounts as part of their theology. Certainly, her deeds are also part of her nature. Pleased by their hymn, the goddess appears, showing her own form, Swarupa, which is multifaceted and constantly shifting. We are told, she, the goddess, has a form of light that is established in all beings. To cut Vyasa's doubt, she assumed her self-dependent form, which resembled 100 throbbing suns, its splendor that of a myriad moons. She possessed 1,000 arms that were furnished with divine weapons, was richly endowed with divine ornaments and attire, anointed with divine perfume. At one time, she's mounted on a lion, and another on a corpse. At one instant, she has 4 arms and resembled a new rain cloud. Then she has 2 arms and 4 hands. Then she has 10 arms, then 18, then 100, and at the next instant, she has an infinite number of arms. At one moment, she adopts the form of Vishnu and on her left, she is Kamala. At the next instant, she is Krishna together with Radha, then Brahma with Sarasvati, then in the form of a corpse, Shiva, and with Gauri on the left side of that body. Thus, we are told the goddess who contains all having made countless different forms, she whose form is Brahman, cut through Vyasa's doubt. Now, the only doubts that Vyasa has had in this account related to his lack of insight into her true nature. So now, with his doubts as to the true essence of the goddess apparently dispelled, he realizes that she is the supreme liberating Brahman, the text says, and experiences liberation while living. At this point, the goddess again acts. Bhagavati, knowing his desire, showed him the lotus on the bottom of her foot. The sage saw the Purana named Mahabhagavata, that was the syllable Om, on the 1,000 petals of that lotus. Bowing his head, he respectfully offered praises, and his mission accomplished, he returned to his hermitage. I suggest this image serves an example of concentric nesting in that it at once contains macrocosms and microcosms, which are each contained within and accessible through the other. The goddess is ultimate. She is the Om, which is the text that is part both of the Om, also part of the lotus, that is also part of the goddess. The Sanskrit here is that it's sanlagnam, it's stuck to the surface of her foot. Anyway, reading the image within the Mahabhagavata enriches and deepens its layers of meaning. If the goddess herself is this Om, and this Om's detailed form is the entire Mahabhagavata Purana, which conveys her essential nature, then the text as a whole and its narrative accounts are theological, nothing less. I will close here by pointing to 2 key threads linking this image with major themes in the Mahabhagavata as a whole. The first one is bhakti, and this is a bhakti that carries with it a powerful draw to experience the presence of the goddess, her physical presence. Meditation on her inwardly is not enough, as this quote from Shiva's response when he's reunited with her shows. I won't read the quote. So all of her devotees, including her divine devotees such as Shiva, do indeed consistently seek out her physical presence. Secondly, there is an insistence on the multifaceted nature of the goddess, whose many identities must be appreciated and are by the true devotee, and whose essence too is irreducibly complex. She is Brahman, but not exclusively an entirely transcendent, abstract inner being or imperceptible essence. She is also physical material form. She is Prakriti. and Shakti. And so her forms are, in the end, the only presence that satisfies her greatest devotees. And I close here with this quote. This is Shiva speaking again after he's been reunited with Sati, who had been his wife. He's reunited with Sati when she's reincarnated as Parvati. Here she appears as Kali. He has welcomed her to stand on his heart. And here he asks her to always appear in that manner wherever she appears in the world. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, and very, very scholastic, scholarly presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm sure that those who are here present must have been benefited from this kind of in-depth scholarship of the text. And this is the way text is to be studied. You rightly refer to A.K. Ramanujan, and the kind of approaches is required to study a text. Wonderful, and thank you for this very scholarly presentation, Patricia Dold.
Thank you.
very
Thank
much.
you so much.
I'm grateful to you. We may now invite the second presenter. I forgot to tell you, but Patricia, in fact, presented her paper in the time limit. The time limit is 20 minutes, of course, and after all the presentations, we'll take up question answers. Okay, so we'll have a spare time for that. The second presenter here is Vanessa R. Sasson. She is a professor of religious studies in the liberal art department of Maria Paulis College of Montreal, Canada, a research member of several organizations, and she has a wonderful work. I'm really pleased to see she has worked on Yashodhara and Buddha. This is her 2021 publication. The Gathering is another book in 2023. She has edited the Buddha, A Storied Life, 2023 with Christian School. In this paper titled The First Buddhist Women, their stories and their resilience. I think this is a very, very important theme and not properly attended to. So we expect some new interpretations, some new dimensions that will be explored through the paper. You are most welcome to present your paper, please. Vanessa, our session. Is she there? Is the presenter there? Sakshi, are you there? I think the presenter has not joined so far. Then we move to the another presenter. Okay, so when the presenter will join, we'll ask her to present her paper. Now we move to our next presenter. This is Miss Manpreet K. and Dr. Kamala Lakshmi Naiker. Manpreet is a lecturer in English, University of Fiji. She has a PhD on the borderland of history and imagination, Indo-Fijian women perspectives. She is a creative writer also. She loves to write poetry, and she has published books also. And very poetic title is there, Echoes of My Footprints. And she is co-editor also with and the title of the book is Blue Crystal Magazine. This is the journal. Dr. Kamala Lakshmi Naiker, she's a dedicated academician in University of Fiji. Her work is, her area of interest and research is women's writing, post-colonial literature. She has contributed chapters in books and many other journals. Her book is a Fijian reading of Bharati Mukherjee. So this is the title of these two authors or two presenters here, and the title of their presentation is Bidesia, Lokgeet. Very important theme and very dear to most of us, as you know. uh, Bidesia, or this refers to a kind of indentured laborers who were taken away from their motherland uh, during 1879 and 1916. They they worked there in their sugar cane farms, and this is how Indian diaspora in Fiji was settled. So Videsia song is very important part of here in India, also in Bhojpuri particularly. And in this song, particularly referring to women, with reference to the women who have composed these, uh, they remember their history, culture, and lost homeland. Um, uh, and in the evening time, particularly, this song was sung with a heavy heart and a kind of longing for their motherland. So I'm sure this is going to be a very significant presentation and very engaging one as well. So welcome, Manpreet ji, to present your paper. Thank you.
I am Dr. Kamala Naiker speaking, and greetings from the University of Fiji. Namaskaram and Nisabula. We thank the organizers and the sponsors for having this prestigious conference, Reimagining and Reclaiming the Knowledge Traditions of Bharat Beyond Boundaries and Definitions, and giving us the opportunity to be part of it. So my part of the presentation is Bidesia, with migration, change, and folk culture. Dr. Manpreet Kaur will be looking at Lokgeet. So in the Indian indenture system was a system of indentured servitude by which 2 million Indians were transported to labor in European colonies as a substitute for slave labor following the abolition of the trade in the early 19th century. The system expanded after the abolition of slavery in the British Empire in 1833, in the French colonies in 1848, and in the Dutch Empire in 1863. Indian indentureship lasted till the 1920s. This resulted in the development of a large Indian diaspora in the Caribbean, Natal, Reunion, Mauritius, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Myanmar, to Fiji, as well as the growth of Indo-Caribbean, Indo-African, Indo-Fijian, Indo-Malaysian, and Indo-Singaporean populations. At the turn of the 20th century, the British took Indian indentured laborers to sugar plantations in Fiji, the British island colony in the Pacific, to which the Indian laborers, men and women, mainly went from East UP, Uttar Pradesh, and West Bihar, where Bhojpuri was spoken. Indian laborers, men and women, mainly went from East Uttar Pradesh and West Bihar, where Bhojpuri was spoken, and Indian women would sing Bidesia, laments for a lost homeland. The export of Indian indentured labor to British overseas colonies containing sugar, cotton, and indigo plantations began around mid-19th century. While archival documents can help us trace the fortunes of individuals, their own feelings and sentiments are best preserved in their songs, orally carried from one mouth to another for decades. The earlier Bidesia songs, here I have got a song, let's hope it plays, and it's a little girl who is singing 10-year-old a Bidesia song.
Present.
मैं फिजी देश का बहुत ही प्रचलित तथा पारंपरिक लोकगीत जिसका फरमाइश जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस जी ने की है, ये गाना मैं उनके लिए और अपने फिजी भाई बहनों के लिए प्रस्तुत कर रही हूँ। धीरे धीरे बदला सवन माते आए राम, धीरे धीरे बदला सवन माते आए राम, कवने नगर तू जाए रे विदेसिया, कवने नगर तू जाए रे विदेसिया।
I should stop here. If not, it'll take a lot of our time. So, the earlier Bidesia songs contain mournful dirges over separation, the misery of those whom they left behind, and their own afflictions in Fiji's white-owned plantations. As the migration ceased, the Fiji Indian people's interest shifted to restoring their connection with Hinduism and its custom, and this has become more prominent at later folk songs. During the indenture period, both men and women worked long hours in the cane fields. The white overseer and his sardar would move around with whips in their hands to see that the Indian laborers completed their allotted task before the end of the day. Out of this experience came the story of Jinki in verse form. She lived in Kavanangasao in Singatoka area. Her beauty attracted the attention of her masters, who took pleasure in rebuking her and occasionally beating her. One evening, in complaining tone, she began to tell her experience to other women. बिपत जिनकी की सुने को दैया, साहिब है बड़ा पितैया, है अपना सरदार चुगलखोर, वैरून है रामदैया. So the translation is, there is nobody to hear the troubles of Jinki. The boss is a great beater and Sardar is a backbiter. Ramdeya is my enemy. Many women from India were lured by recruiting agents called Arkatis to come to Fiji with false promises of a rosy future. After their bitter experiences in the plantation, they would remember the way they were misled by the Arkatis, who would scold them almost daily. While working in the cane fields, a woman in Rakiraki began to curse the men who recruited and sent her to Fiji. And this is what she says. भागे मैं देश से पीछे छूटा संभरिया, मर जा भारती वाले मेरी सुनी कर दी सजेरिया. I ran away from my country, leaving behind my lover. Oh, recruiter, may death befall you. You have deprived me of my marriage bed. Human beings have unlimited capacity to endure suffering, but a stage does come when patience is full to the brim. It was what happened in Ba. A gang of women workers was harassed. One day, when he insulted a woman all of them got together and turned on him to beat him. They were, the more aggressive ones who saw the incident started to chant. And this is what they said. They passed the message to everyone. टूट मरे हम काम में ओ रामा, फिर भी झिरकी लगाए री विदेसिया, खून पसीने से सींचे हम भाग्या, बैठा बैठा हुकुम चलाए रे विदेसिया. Tired and half dead, we do the task. Even then we are rebuked and insulted. We irrigate the fields with our sweat and blood, but sitting comfortably, the overseer bosses us around. Many Fiji Indians, Indian descent, both men and women in Fiji, have been singing Bia, Fagwa, Sohar, Khajri, bhajans, wedding songs, and hymns from the Ramayana with great enthusiasm, but the new generation is taking more interest now in film songs. Bidesia was quite popular among the women a few years ago. Even some groups sang lyrics of Baita Baita Hukum Chalaye Re Bidesia, Ganne Ki Hari Hari Patiya over Radio Fiji in the 16th and 70s in the last century. Bidesia came from Bhojpuri-speaking districts of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Its burning themes, love, restlessness, and deep pains of separation touch the hearts of ordinary people. Actually, conditions of women were more miserable and pathetic than the men. The colonial government of India of those days thought that at least 40% of laborers had to be women, so that the foundation of family life could be laid in Fiji. But this ratio could not be maintained in spite of the efforts made by the recruiting agents in India, who on so many occasions used trickery and abduction to send women to Fiji. In the midst of oppression and uncertainties, the women would remember their past experiences. Dipua में लगाए पखरो कगदुआ हो, अंगूठा लगाए देना हर रे विदेसिया, पाल के जहाजुआ में रोए धोए बैठे हो, कैसे होए काला काला पानी पार रे विदेसिया. In the depot, I was handed a paper. Knowing not the consequences, I put my thumbprint on it. In the ship of sails, weeping and grumbling, I sat and wondered how Kalapani would be crossed over. In India, a popular national leader, Sarojini Naidu, who was called the Nightingale of India because of her popularity as a poetess, expressed agony in poetry on the subject of degradation of women. And she even addressed public meetings to make people of India aware of the conditions of indentured women in Fiji. And in Fiji, Anna Dudley of the Methodist Mission, who did remarkable work for the welfare of Indian women, once remarked, they arrived in country timid, fearful, not knowing where they are to be sent. They are allowed to the plantations. They were allotted to the plantations like so many dumb animals. If they do not perform satisfactorily the work given to them, they are struck or fined or even sent to jail. The life of the plantation alters demeanor, and even their faces. Some looked crushed and broken-hearted, others sullen, others hard and evil. I quote, I shall never forget the first time I saw indentured women when they were returning from their day's work. The look on those faces haunts me, unquote. And these unfortunate women continued their Bidesia to sing out the pain from their crushed and broken hearts. One of the problems that preoccupied the laborers was the shabby conditions in the coolie lines. They could do nothing about it except express resentment, which once took the following satirical lines. सब सुख खान CSR की कोतरिया, 6 फुट छोरी, हाथ फुट लंबी, उसमें धारी है कमाने की कुदरिया, उसी में सिल, उसी में चूल्हा. 6 by 8 foot room of CSR is a source of all comforts. In it are kept tools and hoes. In it are the hearth and home. In it is placed the firewood, and in it is our sleeping place. Folk songs are passed by word of mouth from one generation to another. The intended men and women may have heard these songs when they were still in India. During their stay in Fiji, they might have changed the words and tunes to suit the environment and situation. Since their modified forms began to be sung and recited in Fiji's cane fields, this kind of poetry drew aside for us the veil that covered the different phases of the indentured system. Coming to culture change and migration, migration is usually considered an economic phenomena, but it also creates a cultural phenomena in both the homeland and the land of destination. For the Bhojpuri people, the migration was first and foremost a heavy emotional loss. Many relations were torn apart. Wives torn from husbands, sisters torn from brothers, fathers from their old age support, and mothers from the apples of their eyes. All were leaving for foreign shores, and there was no way to hold them back. The social, economic, political, and historical manifestations of colonial imperialism were drawing them to this migration, which was more of a forced migration for the Bhojpuris. This economic compulsion is expressed in the folk tradition of the people of the Bhojpuri region of India, clearly explains the pain and suffering that they feel. I have an English translation here. So it is neither the train nor the ship that is our enemy, but rather the money that compels our husbands to migrate to other lands. Bidesia is the affectionate form of address given to the migrants by the loved ones who were left behind in the homeland, and so lends its name to the new folk culture that emerged out of this migration. Bidesia folk culture. This folk culture is represented in many forms such as Notangi, that's musical theater, dramas, folk songs, and folk paintings. It is a complex folk culture or holistic folklore tradition which developed as an outcome of the vacuum caused by the departure of the migrant Bhojpuri. The composition of Bidesia song began in this period of 1884 and later formed the basis for the Bidesia folk culture. In 1884, Pandit Beni Madhav Ram, a resident of Kashi, composed a folk song in which the word Bidesia was used for the first time to address a person who had departed. Kahe mori sudi bisaria re Bidesia, the words were that. Notably, this folk tradition is popular not only in the homeland of the migrants, but also in their destinations like Mauritius, Suriname, Trinidad, Fiji, and the Netherlands, where the present generation, in search of their cultural identity, are trying to reconstruct the history of their ancestors. These oral songs, oral folk traditions, were an important component of the cultural baggage of those ancestors, which helped them recover from the pain caused by the separation from loved ones in their homeland. The preservation of oral folk traditions in all cultures is important, as it preserves the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Bidesia song has various genres. For example, Kajri, Chaisi, Birha, songs about generation, death, pain, suffering, migration, passed on from one generation to another. Bidesia is on the verge of extinction because of lack of written records. Hundreds of songs are nowhere to be found today. Even the musical instruments like sarangi, kartal, veena that were commonly found are hard to find these days. In India, there is the Bidesia project, which works to conserve, archive, and promote Bidesia songs. I've just wrote one last Bidesia here. Let's hope it plays well, and we'll listen to it for a short while. And after that, my colleague, Dr. Manpreet Kaur, will lead you through the rest of the presentations. Okay.
रुपया ही रुपया हो फिजिया के टपुआ रुपया ही रुपया हो फिजिया के टपुआ रुपया ही रुपया हो बैठ ले जहाजवा में किस्मत विदेसिया बैठ ले जहाजवा में किस्मत विदेसिया हो.
Thank you very much. And now Dr. Manpreet will take over from here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just wondering if you can see my screen.
Yes, yes. Quite visible. Yes.
Can you see the full screen? Because I want to project the full screen.
Not the full screen. Yes, it is okay now.
All right. Thank you so much. Nisambala Vinaka, and a pleasant afternoon from the beautiful islands of Fiji. It is about 3:30 p.m. Almost quarter to 3:30, and it's really pleasing to know that I have one of my former students joining us from University of New England, Dr. Prashnil Gaundar. So thank you so much for joining our session as well. And we two of our colleagues from the Hindi department from the University of Fiji, Ms. Parveen, and those people have joined us as well. Picking up from what Dr. Naiker has presented on Bidesia, when she finished, I think it was something very melancholic that she left us with, and sort of got us thinking that yes, because these Bidesia songs are so dear to us, it's sort of deeply rooted in our people, and it is sort of defines us as to who we are. So I'm going to be talking about Lokgeet and the narratives of the past paving the future. And one of the things that, sorry, I just need to put this side. is that I found the lack of writing on this very important topic to be something that's very puzzling, and the contemporary societies in Fiji to be void with, particularly music. And it is a unique situation that is extremely interesting to research about, and I hope interesting to read about as well. Because when we talk about music, either it is in forms of Bidesia or Lokgeet, there's so much that sort of is in its raw form, but not documented. But what has happened over the years is that for the posterity to come, people have documented it. And music in form in particular is an interpretive mirror of society. And you all will agree to that with me, that it sort of reflects, but also explains. And music is sort of deeply rooted and ingrained in all of us. Attempting to understand Fijian society is no feat, is by no means no feat, and to look at it through music, principally Lokgeet, is just one way to attempt to do that. And I intend to do that in this session. So first, because I've shared my full screen, I'm not able to see my screen, I think. Just trying to put myself a little bit down here so that I can, sorry. First, though, there are two separate but related traditions, and we have to understand that where did it originate from? Karnataka of the South India, that is a state of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, and that of Hindustani of the northern India. So, though the northern and the southern systems are, sorry, I just need to put this, though the northern and the southern systems are both built upon the important idea of raga, the southern raga performance has less improvisation. It incorporates more rapid ornamentation. So what I thought, sorry, probably what I need to do is I'm not going to share my full screen, because what it then does is that I'm not able to see my screen properly. So probably you can see that now. So one of the things that sort of comes out really in a very strong way is the Girmitya descendants. That is a narrative, that is a story that we are sharing. So while I was doing my research, because I thought it is important for us to share that, is that in 2023, in Fiji, we are marking Girmit celebrations, and it is done on a very large scale. And we have a lot of events following that. So in 2023, Sampath Lal says that, is a Girmitya, that there's an urgent need to preserve the history of the Girmityas. Ahead of the Girmit celebration that I've just said in 2023, a 91-year-old said, and I quote, that no proper modern way of recording of the Girmitya history is in place. And if a Girmitya of a 91-year-old says that, it is that goes to show that it is in a sorry state. Lal further says that memories only exist through folk songs known as Bidesia, that Dr. Naiker has talked about, Allaha, and Lokgeet. So, and Sampath Lal further goes to say that we used to sing Lokgeet and Bidesia on the farms. My mother taught me this. And this is sort of, I've mentioned in the parentheses that it was sort of generational. There's no proper paper that records this. And I learned it from my mother, who learned it from her. So this was passed from one generation to the other, posterity to come. And if you think about that in its entirety, it is in a sorry state, because if it's not recorded, what will happen is that when our Girmityas, for example, when there's a demise, what will happen is that a very important facet of their historical accounts that they were doing through Lokgeet or Bidesia is going to be lost, and we'd not want that to happen. So Lal further says that a proper record will mean preserving the history of Girmitya and allowing their descendants to know about the salient, important, crucial, vital role that their ancestors have played in Fiji's development. And Fiji has come a long way. 140 plus years we have had the occupation of Indians, and now we have the new generation. It has sort of, redefined as to who we are. The rich cultural heritage that was brought from India to Fiji has significantly influenced the cultural landscape of Fiji, and there's no denial about it. And you will see that there's a blending, and this has happened because of the blending with indigenous Fijian culture, that is the indigenous, the Ithaukai, the Vanua, the people of the land, and the other ethnic communities. And now, one of the things that we have come to realize is that obviously language, culture, and everything is fluid. So if we do not preserve it, for example, Bidesia or Lokgeet, then our very important part of our historical culture is going to be lost. And in doing so, I think one of the things that we have to, at the background, understand that Fiji celebrates its multiple voices. Challenges for the future generation to understand and appreciate this genre, and for us to see its potency. And one of the ways we can do it is to record it. It is the onus is on us in academia. We have discourses or discussions about it so that we are recording it so that it's not lost. Lokgeet, its effect on the current genre. Another important article that I found in the Fiji Times, that is in our daily, was from singing Lokgeets is a passion for Avinash Rohit Ram. I found that out in 2020, was recorded in 2022. Now he's passing on his skills to his children. And there are many like Avinash Rohit Ram who share similar sentiments. Lokgeets are Indian folk songs sung on various occasions, although in Fiji, they are mostly sung at wedding ceremonies. So we have to understand, like, like where did it originate from and now what is its present situation, or where does it stand? For Ram, his passion is so deep, he's passing on his skills to the young folks in his Navua community that's in the Central Division. So Ram, a process administrator at Goodman Fielder International, who is also known as Fiji's one in his neighborhood, moved from Wenibia village to Srinagar in 2016 and formed his own Ramayana Mandali. And he formed his own Ramayana Mandali to promote his culture. So these are one of, like, I'm just trying to provide you a snapshot to show that, yes, a lot of being done by people, particularly of Indian descent, to ensure that sort of Lokgeets, Bidesia, or whatever forms of things that have originated when the people came from India to Fiji is being preserved. And then he further mentions, I sing Kirtan, Bhajan, and Lokgeets, but my passion and interest are mostly Lokgeets. And then he goes on to say that I was 11 when I started singing, but I sang on stage for the first time in 1997 at Rampur College, that is in Navua. In that competition, so sort of competitions are being organized, so that it's sort of the culture is being revived, so that it's not being lost, and the posterity to come know about it. So it was in one of those competitions when I won the first prize in the under 15 category. And this was my first major achievement. And when we have events like that, then what happens is that it sort of creates enthusiasm or entices children, the younger generation, to take part in it and to show interest. The flair is being maintained. So Ram started singing kirtans in 1998, and a year later took to singing bhajans, having developed his interest during religious programs and particularly drawing from Ramayana Mandalis. So many kids attend those programs, and I was part of them. This is what Ram recalls, and I have taken it up from the newspaper. One of the other places where we saw that Lokgeet sort of or a platform is being provided to the people here in Fiji so that it is being recorded, like a 91-year-old Sampath Lal did mention that if it's not recorded, then it's going to be lost, is through Prasala Music Fiji. It is a renowned music place. Lokgeet is commonly sung and heard by people around the country on various radio stations and special ceremonies and functions. So what happens is that the history of Lokgeet goes back to India, and Dr. Naiker also talked about it when she was giving us an account of Bidesia. But in Fiji, its presence came with the arrival of the indentured laborers, and since then it has passed to every corner of the country. Just like Fiji Hindi, it was organically formed in the plantations. That's why when we are speaking, there are a lot of discourses or a lot of contention about the status of the language, because it's a plantation language. So hosted, and then Lokgeets are traditionally folk songs, and different parts of India from where they are divided have different versions of performed according to local culture and tradition. And over time, like Fiji Hindi has been organically formed, Lokgeets too have been, probably the manner in which it has originated to what it is now, there's a lot of infusion. So what happened, it hosted the first Lokgeet Hangama night for those who have come to love folks in 2018. So this was one of the first ways to having it been done through Prasala Music Fiji. And looking at the time, what I've done is I've just provided you a snapshot in the conclusion to show that there are many avenues in which, or there are many ways in which Fiji has sort of provided avenues for its people, those who are particularly interested in Lokgeet to have their work recorded. And Priscilla Music Fiji has taken the honors to have it done on a national scale. And you'll see on the screen that I have said Lokgeet by Rati Ram, China, Fiji Islands, Priscilla Music Shop, latest release, and that were sort of going from the year 2000 to 25 and so many others. And what has happened is that because now from Fiji after 1987, the subsequent coups that we have had, a lot of Fiji Indians have moved to Australia, New Zealand, and Australia, New Zealand, America, and Canada. So what has happened is that they have also taken, a very important part of what they have learned in Fiji through the arrival of the indentured laborers to Fiji. So they are now practicing that, or having the Lokgeets being sung in remindment days, in weddings, and there's so many other platforms that it has been provided. So, so having said that, I've come to the end of the session, and we're looking forward to more deliberations and discussions or questions anybody has at the end of the session. Thank you so much. Nithe Madhavanda Vinaka from Fiji.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kamalaji and Manpreet, for presenting this very, very significant theme on Bidesia and Lokgeet. And thank you for taking us to this very musical, nostalgic journey. And definitely we'll have some discussions at the end of the session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, both of you. And now, may I, can you stop sharing your screen so that we can move further?
Is that me who's sharing the screen?
It is still being shared.
My screen or Dr. Naiker's?
Your screen, I think. Yeah, Naiker's screen. Yes.
Is it Dr. Naiker's screen?
Yes, yes, yes. So may I request her to...
Dr. Naiker, if she's there, if she could...
I don't know. She's...
Sorry, Dr.
Yes.
Naiker?
Have I stopped sharing now, sir? I think I've stopped sharing.
There is I think another, yeah, now it seems okay. Yes, yes.
Okay. Sorry about it, and thank you.
No, no, it's okay, it's okay. Thank you very much. And we have now our next presenter. Just a sec. I think Ms. Chotima Chaturawong is there, I think. Yes, yes.
Bravo.
Welcome, ma'am. And let me give a brief biographical details about her. Chotima Chaturawong is an associate professor at the Faculty of Architecture, Silpaurn University, Bangkok, Thailand. She received a PhD in history of art, Southeast Asian art from Cornell University. She specializes in Burmese and Mon architecture, as well as of the Southeast Asia, and has written several articles, research papers, and books on Burmese, Mon, and Indian art and architecture. For example, she has worked on the Buddhist shrine and architectural comparison of Thailand, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka, and something on Mandapas of India, Sri Lanka, and Burma, and Thailand. So, in this present theme, she has selected Mondop architecture, connections between India and Southeast Asia. So it's again an important thing for exploring the cultural connections, cultural continuity from India to other Southeast Asian countries. And definitely this kind of cultural interactions and connections need to be reiterated, need to be discussed again and again, so that the kind of forgetfulness of our past has been done these decades. It should be maintained, in fact, that this kind of cultural continuity is very much there from the ancient time, and what the historians have termed something like Greater India. So it is not the political only, but a kind of cultural hub we are talking about that connects all these our neighboring countries, all our neighboring cultures, giving them due respect, and also to see how this connectivity, these cultural interactions have created a kind of cultural zone, homogeneous cultural zone. Thank you very much, Chotima Chaturawong ji, and I request you to present your paper. Thank you very much for
Thank you very much, Professor Rajnish. Let me show my slide. Yes. Do you see my slide?
Yes.
My full page, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, firstly, I would like to thank you all organizer for making this conference happen. My presentation is about Mondop architecture of Thailand, which has similarity with that of Cambodia. It was inspired by Indian architecture. Sorry now. Mondop in Thai refers to architecture that has a square plan, is enclosed by walls, and is surmounted by a pyramidal spire roof. It was used to enshrine a Buddha image, the Tripitaka, and the Buddha footprint. It was probably inspired by the Khmer, who called it a mandapa or mondop. After the fall of the Walavadi, central, northeastern, and some parts of southern Thailand came under the Khmer, who later influenced the Thai in language, art, and architecture. And this is the picture of Mondop in Thai, in Thai architecture. The term mandapa in Khmer probably referred to four structure in Khmer architecture. First, a tent or a temporary festival hall parallel to the term mandapa in Pali. Second, a monument with a pointed roof which resembles Mondop architecture of the Thai. Third, a pavilion inside a temple. And fourth, an antechamber to the front of the main shrine of a temple during the Angkor period. The Khmer probably had two kinds of square plan monuments, a mandapa or mondop, and a prasad, that the former is interfered with the latter. And this is the mondop, and this is mondop or mandapa, and this is the prasad. A mandapa or mondop as a small monument is equivalent to the term janalayo or janalaya in Pali, meaning a living place of a human dwelling. Whereas Khmer Prasad signifies a monument surmounted by a concave tower resembling an Indian sikhala, and it influenced the Bang architecture of the Thai. And this is the Indian sikhala in Orissa, and this is Khmer Prasad, which inspired the Thai Bang.
Beautiful.
The Khmer Prasad did not correspond to that of the Thai, as the latter is mounted by a pyramidal roof and has four porticos, because for the Khmer Prasad it's in the shape this, but for the Thai Prasad they have four porticos. But this one is inspired, surmounted by a pram, but the real Thai Prasad is surmounted by a pyramidal roof. The Khmer Prasad and Mondop are parallel to Latina Pamasana of Nagalai architecture in northern India, surmounted by a sikhala and pyramidal roofs, respectively. Nagala architecture is divided into three types, Latina, Pamasana, and Valapi, though only the latter, Valapi, has a rectangular plan and is crowned by a barrel vaulted roof. Mondop in Thai and Khmer likely derived from the term Mandi or Mandira of Hindu and Buddhist architecture, referring to a temple and a shrine, as well as a royal palace, a residence of a nobleman, and any place dedicated to a deity. And this is the Thai Mondop, and this is the Indian Mandi. The Nepali also call a temple or God's house as a Mandi. It has a square plan clouded by a pyramidal multi-tier roof parallel to Devagriha in Sanskrit. And architecture of Thai, known as the Mondop in Thai, reflected early Indian influence and was used widely in Southeast Asia during the 5th to the 8th centuries, such as Asom Maharishi and Kuk Patat in Cambodia and Jam Galan of Mishra in Vietnam. And this is the Nepali Mandi. Asom Maharishi has been considered one of the oldest temples in Cambodia and has been dated to around the early to mid-7th century during the early Jelak period. And this is the floor plan of Asom Maharishi with inner sanctum and is surrounded by a circummemoratory part. Asom Maharishi was crowned by a tier curved pyramidal roof with above Chefino, parallel to that of Kuk Patat in Han Chai. And this is the circummemoratory part inside the Asom Maharishi. Kuk Patat in Han Chai, Cambodia is dated to around 620 to 720 CE. The temple, which faces to the east, was built of basalt in a single square chamber, about 4 meters wide, and raised on a low plinth. It lacked evidence of an object enshrined within the temple, and this is the floor plan of Kuk Han Chai. And Kuk Han Chai is adorned with Kutu on the pyramidal roof. Asom Maharishi and Kuk Patat have been dated parallel to Thalapati and Arjuna Latha of the Pallava in Mamallapuram in India. In a parallel period, the early 7th to mid-8th century, the Cham in Vietnam also built a small temples in the form of a single square pavilion, which was raised on a stone pedestal adorned with narrative relief, such as this one. According to Tran Ki Fong, its superstructure called Januk in Cham include 4 pillars of timber or stone to support a wooden pyramidal roof structure covered with glass or tile. For example, open temple Mishra E1, and this is the Mishra E1. But the wooden pillar is no longer exist nowadays. From the late 8th century onward, these small open temples were rebuilt by surrounding them with brick walls surmounted by a corbel brick roof. The truss became an open innermost sanctum to house a linga inside a larger brick temple. For example, nowadays, Mishra E1, they have a brick temple cover the open temple, which is the original one like this. Mondop at Wat Phaputhabat, Salaburi, Thailand also has an open inner sanctum called Samon Mondop to house the Buddha footprint inside the building. This is the small Mondop inside the exterior Mondop. This open innermost sanctum corresponds to Bosbok in Thai architecture, which has an open square plan surmounted by a pyramidal roof. As this is rather small, nobody or only one person can enter, and this is the Bosbok. The exterior looks similar to Mondop, except it's smaller than Mondop, and it's also their duty also similar to Janok in Cham. A mandapa as an innermost sanctum likely aimed to seclude a place of God and created a circummemoratory part inside a temple. This tradition possibly started in India as Linga Raja or Lingarat Mandi in Bhubaneswar, also consisted of a pavilion to enshrine a Linga as an open innermost sanctum of Kanpa Kaluha, dated to the 11th century. And this is the section. The term mandapa in Khmer Hindu temple architecture also refers to a pavilion inside a temple and an antechamber in front of the main sanctum of a temple. The former had the role as the innermost sanctum of a temple and has been found since Funan period, whereas the latter was gathering place, assembly hall of the Khmer temple during Angkor period. A mandapa as in an innermost sanctum of a temple was one of the four principal elements of Funan architecture. This kind of mandapa was made of either brick or stone and could be without walls or enclosed entirely with wall. For example, a mandapa inside Prasat S2 and mandapa N17 in Sampol Paikuk and Temple Han Chai Bi in Cambodia. Prasat S2 had a mandapa and opened in the most sanctum to house the figure of Nanti, the vehicle of Shiva. Prasat S2 was built of brick with a rectangular floor plan with two doorways to the east and the west. Prasat S2 was constructed opposite to Prasat Yaiporn or Prasat S1, the principal temple housing the Alinga of the southern complex in Sompu Paikuk. And this is the mandapa inside Prasat S2. The mandapa, the mandapa made of stone with 4 pillars raised on a pedestal decorated with floral relief and niches for a deva. The pillar also depicted floral relief and supported a stone flat roof adorned with kutu. And this is the floor plan of the open mandapa, and this is the elevation. The mandapa inside Prasat S2 has several similarities with mandapa N17, such as material used, flat roof, kutu, floral reliefs, and niches for a deva. However, mandapa N17 was enclosed entirely with stone wall. Mandapa N17 is situated to the north and outside the northern complex in Sompo Paikuk. Mandapa N17 was built of sandstone in the form of a single 3-meter square chamber. It contains 4 stone pillars raised on a pedestal to support a flat roof adorned with kutu. Some scholars believe the mandapa was previously located inside a wooden temple that no longer exists nowadays. Mandapa N17 is also parallel to Temple Han Chai Bi to the north of the current Kampong Jam, Cambodia. Han Chai Bi is a small cubic shrine about 2.7 meters square. It was made of thin stone slab and has a flat roof. The doorway to the east was adorned with elaborate pillars supporting the lintel. As Han Chai Bi, pardon me.
May I request you to conclude, please, because we are running short of time.
Yeah.
Really
okay. Yeah. So the Hanchi, so we conclude that it was the innermost sanctum of the larger temple, and we also have an open mandapa in the monument 223 in Si Mahosot Ancient Town in Thailand, and this is the floor plan of the monument 223, which at the center is the square open mandapa, which we don't know exactly open floor plan or enclosed by wall. And then this is my conclusion. A single square chamber carved by a pyramidal roof was characteristic of an early temple in India and Southeast Asia. This structure is called Mondop in Thai and is likely derived from the term mandi, referring to a temple or place dedicated to a god. The Thai pottery was inspired by the Mondop architecture of the Khmer, who call it Mandapa or Mondop. The term Mandapa in Khmer has four meanings: a temporary hall, a monument with a pointed roof, a pavilion inside a temple, and a hall to the front of the main shrine of the temple. These structures were first built in India, and similar structures were built in Southeast Asia from the 5th to the 13th century. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a wonderful paper, and really we wanted to listen to more about it because we have time constraint. So, but it was really a wonderful presentation, very enlightening. May I request the another next presenter, Dr. Nguyen Thi Oanh. She's a researcher at Institute of South Asian, West Asian, and African Studies, Vietnam Academy of Social Sciences. She has her MA in Political Science from Hyderabad University and received her PhD in International Relations from Vietnam National University. She has contributed many research papers, many articles, and she has written many books also. And we can see from her biodata how academically engaged she is. In this present paper, she is going to talk about India's foreign policy identity and global positioning, a strategic culture perspective. So you are welcome, Oanh, to present your paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think good morning from Hanoi, Vietnam. Thank you for Chair for choosing to me attending the very important conference. For me, I will share my presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, today I will talk about the impact of how India's strategic culture impact on Indian foreign policy, identity, and global position. My presentation is divided into three main parts. First, I will clarify the character of Indian strategy. In the second part, I will analyze how strategic culture influences Indian foreign policy. And finally, I will provide some comment and assessment. Actually, for me, when I research on Indian strategic culture, it's very hard. I feel it like trying to fit the ocean into a cup, because it is a high-risk of civilization with over 4,000 years of history. I understand that today have many research on India here. I would like to share my limited knowledge. If I miss anything, I hope for your understanding. First, I will talk about the characteristic of Indian strategic culture. When we talk about Indian strategic culture, I think that we now know about the researcher of Roni from the 2006. He says that India's strategic culture is complex and multifaceted. and highlights its united civilization at a historical significant Eastern civilization and rising global power. Indian influence on Asia and world politics make it culture, civilization, and strategic culture highlight revelation research topic for scholars. From the perspective of Vietnamese scholar, I believe that India's strategic culture possesses the following characteristics. The first, I think that India history demonstrates the presence of Indian strategic thoughts. The second one is India's strategic culture has been shaped by its physical geography and historical experiences, and making it both stable and continuous, whilst also adapting to geopolitical, economic, and social needs. The third, we can see that India's strategic culture is both complex and integrated, corrected by comprehensive and distinctness. And we also know in the term unity and diversity, with some term like Dharma, Artha, Karma, and Moksha. The next one is India's strategic culture, often called like world view on like philosophical and mythological foundation, and that's why this strategic culture had right people as omnipotent aristocracy, in contrast to other models such as theoretical mercantilism, frontal expansionism, and empirical bureaucracy and revolution technological. The last one I want to talk about in India strategic culture is both evolving and continuous. Although the evolution is slower than the chain of object reality, and one thing we want now to focus that the united unit of India's strategic culture is complex and cannot be accessed through a single lens. So, from the foundation of this strategic culture, how its impact on Indian foreign policy. I can say that India's strategic thinking had greatly influenced its role in the post-colonial war. During the Cold War, it showed strategic autonomy while focusing on economic development. India was the pioneer of supporting decolonization, opposing apartheid in South Africa, and advocating for nuclear disarmament. At the it also played very important in wrapping up in the universal Declaration of Human Rights, and had been significant contribution for United Peacekeeping operation. Currently, the shift from the non-aligned to multi-aligned foreign policy reflect that India's strategic culture prioritizing alliances rather than allies to strengthen its backing power in the international relation. The influence is divided into several key factors like below. The first, you can see that Indian strategic culture shaping the identity of Indian civilization in the world politics. That Jawaharlal Nehru says that India will and will certainly be a country that count in the world of faith. Not, I hope, in the military sense, but in the many other senses which are more important and effective in the end. And besides that, India's strategic culture impact on India foreign policy lies the approach India own way approach like become a global friend. Global friend mean India innocent as a successful model of maintaining relation between the East and the West. I think as a bridge between the development and developing country into increasing a fragmented and divided world. Modi was using slogan global solidarity, global commitment, reflects that India transition of emphasizing the value of the world in the one family. And besides that, we can see that now Indian foreign policy pursue moral politics in the international relation through a non-alignment policy and acknowledgement of hierarchical world order. And it shows that peace establishing a third world order solidarity with Asian country and the development world, and non-alignment become a pillar of Indian foreign policy after gaining independence. Indian strategic culture sees the world order as hierarchical in terms of both material power, measure, and ideology values. Now India own way pursue Indian principle on the basis of international law. Besides that, we can see that after independence, India own way pursues the idealism in international relation from 1947 to 1991. By the view of force, it often a measure of last resort. Due is only to deal with serious aggression or confrontation or legal. Also, we can see that in the under impact of Indian strategic culture, Indian foreign policy have the shift from idealism to pragmatism in international relations. It can show in the principle of India first and reduce their idea element and adopt a new content, namely a set aspect of realism to sharp international interest in terms of material power. In other words, Indian foreign policy derived by consideration of power and national interest and domestic issue. Besides that, it also impact on the vision of nationalism and economic nationalism to achieve the worthy position in the international politics. So, besides that, we can see the principle of strategic autonomy. The principle is described as a way of controlling external dependence to protect the independence of the country in the foreign policy decision-making and protect national interests, maintain the significant independence in the strategic area to maximum the autonomy of country to making decisions in the international system that always interdependent, especially avoid dependence on the stronger country. So from all that thing, so what you can see how strategic culture impact on India foreign policy. We can see that developing a strategic culture will assist India in the defining its role in the international area and shaping a competitive or defensive grand strategy in the internet politics. The first, I can say that the influence of strategic culture on India content and implementation foreign policy. Strategic culture play a critical role in the shaping India's strategy and behavior. The influence of strategic culture on the content and implementation of country foreign policy is reflected in the influence of culture on the country's strategic belief and choice. Its strategic culture also impact on the way India choose its tool in the international relation. Besides emphasizing political ethics, India on combining multi-tool to implement multi-policy multiply policy in the international politics. Besides economic turn, defending diplomacy, political diplomacy, India also take advantage other to soften its image in engaging with region issues such as culture, religion, development, and other overseas Indian. The second thing you can see is that the influence of strategic culture on Indian content and implement foreign policy also show the way India implementation of India foreign policy. First, the country pursuing to maximum power divided from the structure including to you force when necessary on the base to respect for internet in the internet politics. The second thing, embracing the principle of strategic autonomy in the security issue. The third, the country embracing the principle of reconciliation and dialogue in the international conflict. And the fourth, defensive strategic orientation against the involvement of external power in the traditional.
May I request to conclude, please, because we are running short of time. Okay. Please.
Okay,
Please.
so and I conclude my presentation by the term of Shakta Melva Zazati. We can see that India's strategic culture is deeply rooted in the East civilization and political values. The second thing we can see is that at the head of the world art principle of the world is one family, and the church win an ascendant Indian maximum incredible on national emblem of India and as a result, this strategic culture had played a vital role in the making India a powerful nation, made by a stronger economic and rich culture. The third is strategic culture significant influence in India foreign policy behavior, acting and as a guiding compass as and its action. This culture implies the principle of strategic autonomy, which essential to meet India's development needs and protect its national interests. Impact of strategic culture India foreign policy is inviting in the shift from non-alignment diplomacy to multi-alliance philosophy. This approach focused on forming alliances rather than allies, on a variety of religion international issues, thereby enhancing India's bargaining power in the complex dynamic of international relations. And thank you for your listening. I would like to finish my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very elaborate and analytical paper. And it was very, very informative as well for all of us. Do we have here Professor Hansok? I think he has not joined. He's a very senior scholar in Indology and Sanskrit. We were really willing to listen to him. And the topic was really equally fascinating. He was supposed to present on Panini's work as a prior scholarship, but he has not joined, it seems. Sakshi, any information from Professor Hanshaw?
No, sir, he haven't.
And we missed another presenter also, Vanessa R. Sasson. She was to present on the Buddhist women, their stories and their resilience. So we missed these two very, very significant presentations. I don't know what is the reason that they couldn't join us, but maybe they will send their paper when the proceedings will be processed for publication. At that time, we'll definitely have the opportunity to go through their work. So in this session, we had in fact 6 presenters, 2 couldn't join, and but with these 4 wonderful presentations from very uh, um, good scholars in their respective fields. We can see that the first presentation on the epistemology and methodology, a Shakta Puranic narrative theology by Professor Patricia Dold, is very important, as he referred to the Bhagavad Puran and Devi Bhagavad Puran, and how this Puran is aligned with the Vaishnava tradition of the text like Bhagavad, Srimad Bhagavad Puran. And so there is a huge literature available on this kind of Puranic, what we term as Puran, 18 Puranas, 18 of Puranas, like this. So huge literature is available, and see, in fact, highlighted that how this text is to be seen or to be studied, the way it has been, they have been studied in our intellectual tradition. The idea is to get the interconnectedness of the concepts and the interaction of the text with the other texts in the tradition. So right from the beginning, Indian scholars have emphasized this point, that respect the text, and you should be in dialogue with the text. The reader should be in interaction with the text itself, and in this way, it's a textual strategy, textual assumptions are can be expounded. So she talked about Shakti taking the forms of all the deities. This is again re-emphasizing the point that though we have 33 categories of such deities, but they are all manifestation of the same primordial energy principle. So this is how this diversity and unity in India is philosophically, ontologically defined. The second presentation on Bidesia and Lokgeet by Kamala ji and Manpreet ji, both are very good scholar in their respective field. I would like to point out that here in India, through Sahitya Akademi, we are also doing a kind of encyclopedia of Indian poetics. And in this, we have taken note of these local folk forms, and we have talked about their poetics. So when it will come out in the next few months, you will see how enriching experience this could be. And I feel sorry that at that time we would have contacted you to work along with this very important encyclopedia. But now this is nearing completion. Maybe in the next edition or so, we'll definitely incorporate your scholarship also into this. So all these folk forms, this is what we call Lokgeet. In fact, in Indian literature, we don't maintain any such dichotomy or difference between Lok and Shastra, as you pointed out. So they have their own poetics, they have their own canons, and in this way they are as important and as enlightening as other classical forms are there. So this dichotomy between classical and folk, classical and vernacular, really doesn't hold good in the Indian context, as you both of you have pointed out rightly. So there are Birha, Kajri, Sohar, Bhajan, and many more such folk forms. Literature, we don't call it Sahitya Kavya, no? So this is not necessarily literature written down. It's the oral form and disseminate from mouth to mouth, generation after generation. But as you pointed out that these traditions and these folk forms are in fact need to be taken care of, as they are fading away and they will slip from the memory of the coming generations. So that is a matter of worry, and see how we can maintain this, because if we lose this, if we miss this, we'll miss the whole cultural root and cultural connectedness. So that is very important for us. So I thank both of you, Manmeet ji and Kamala ji, for your wonderful presentation. Third presentation was by Chotima Chaturawong ji, who talked about Mandap architecture, and particularly in relation to what we call Southeast Asia. So all these, right from the beginning, our Prime Minister Modi ji has been emphasizing this look east policy, or we are certainly paying more and more attention to our cultural pasts. How deeply culturally rooted we are, and how the extension and homogenization of this whole Southeast Asian land has been done uh, through millennia of interaction and connectedness. So you talked about mandap. That is the part of the shikhar, the head part of the Vastu Purush. Temple, as you pointed out, temple architecture, particularly in the temple architecture, there is a notion of Vastu Purush. This is not the simply a structure. This is a living entity. The whole temple is a living entity, and this is how, and the deity is the soul of that body, deity who is placed at the Garbhagrihi, at the sanctum sanctorum. So that is the soul, pran, atman of that Vastu Purush. And you refer to how this cultural uh, continuity has been established right from India to all these Southeast East Asian countries. So, and you illustrated it also through your slides, and so a wonderful presentation. And thank you for your work and scholarship in this area. Our fourth presenter was Nguyen Thi Oanh. She presented on India's foreign policy, identity, and global positioning, the strategic cultural perspective. And very rightly, you placed it in the framework of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. This is called Purushartha Chatushtaya, fourfold goals of life. And India's foreign policy is largely guided by the principle of righteousness, principle of dharma. And you referred to that this foreign policy has its core, that this understanding that the world is a family, not simply a marketplace where competitions and cutthroat competition are going on. you know and you rightly pointed out, contextualized the very popular slogan of our uh, Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, that global solidarity, global commitment, and global endeavors. So this is how our foreign policy, India's foreign policy, bind together the whole world. It doesn't see things in a dichotomy, something like self and other. This is global, universal family which we aspire for, where there is lots of family bonding, cultural value system, and also a kind of homogeneous, congenial place in which we could live happily and achieve our goals. So this is what India's foreign policy has also been reiterated again and again. And at present, since we are talking about India's knowledge tradition, and how to reclaim and how to redefine the whole thing, this is again important to discuss these themes which our learned presenters have given us. So with these remarks, I am immensely enriched by your knowledge, by your presentation. I am grateful to you, and I'm grateful to the organizers also for giving me this opportunity to be with you and share my understanding in front of you. Thank you very much. It's over to Sakshi. Next.
Ladies and gentlemen, As we end the session, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Rajnish Mishra for chairing this session. His guidance and insights have added great value to our discussion. So we truly appreciate your time and expertise. A big thank you to all presenters and participants for sharing your ideas, thought-provoking discussions, and making this session engaging and meaningful. Your contribution have made this discussion both productive and meaningful. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for providing us
Yeah.
with the opportunity to present. Thank you. Really appreciate.
Thank you very much.
Very much
all of
too. Thank you very much too.
those who are present, who have been us
Yeah.
with
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Namaskar. Namaskar to all of you.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Sakshi,
Yes, sir.
should we end the session now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you once again.
And thank you
Namaskar.
all, and thank you for
Om
giving us
Shanti,
this
Shanti,
opportunity.
Shanti. Namaskar. Namaskar.